Hi, I'm Mrs. R, your co-video substitute teacher. Today we're going to do some art. Now here's the cool thing though, today's art actually has a little bit of science behind it. I do love science. Today's art is about dinosaurs. Now, I know some people aren't into dinosaurs. Believe it or not, I have never been into dinosaurs, but I had some students who were. However, today's episode, even if you're not into dinosaurs, is going to be fun because there's an imagination aspect to it. Because it's art, so we always have to have imagination into it. So first, I'm going to ask you a real simple question. I am going to show you a skeleton. Now, what is that a skeleton of? Is it an elephant or, well, I already told you it's a dinosaur. Nobody's fallen for elephant, right? That is clearly, everybody together, T-Rex. Yeah, that's a T-Rex skeleton, right? So when scientists go out and they find the bones of something, they can build the skeleton of it. But the weird thing is just because we have a skeleton doesn't actually tell us what it looks like. For instance, don't believe me? Look at this skeleton. Now, well, I don't know what that is. Do you know what that is? Here's the weird thing. This is not a dinosaur. This is something that's on the planet right now. Although here in the United States, the only time we ever see them is usually on TV or in a zoo, because this skeleton is not of something we see very often. But here's the thing. When we look at the skeleton, it's kind of, I mean, I guess it could be kind of a dog, maybe. It's hard to tell, isn't it? Well, let me add in an outline over the skeleton of what it is. Oh, look at that hump. Look at that hump. Now we all know what it is, don't we? We know what that animal with a hump is. It's a camel. But that skeleton doesn't show a hump at all, does it? This is because sometimes when we look at skeletons, it doesn't really tell us everything about it, right? Because we don't know what kind of fur or fat or other things. Believe it or not, that's a lot of fatty stuff in that hump, but it holds water, right? We all know that. I mean, we kind of know a little bit about camels. How about this one? This is another skeleton that's really on the planet right now, of an animal on the planet right now. Again, just like the previous one, it's not something that just wanders around the woods of the United States, but we see them in zoos. Now, you can kind of tell it's a bird of some kind, can't you? Because the way it's posed on a branch right there, bird. I got nothing more than bird. Do you? Again, this bird is amazing looking. That was the skeleton to a peacock. But the thing we all know about a peacock are those amazing, that tail that fans out, right? Well, it's not made of bone. The tail is made of are the feathers, and the feathers don't have bones in them. Even though it's hard in the middle, it's not made of bone. Just like we have ears, we have noses. Those are not bones. If you've ever seen a human skeleton, it looks pretty human-shaped, but it doesn't have ears, doesn't have a nose, because those are made of something different than bone, even though they're pretty firm. I mean, it's not like I can just bend it around. It's not like I can pinch it up. It's still pretty firm. It's called cartilage. Don't worry about what it's called, but that's what it's called. It's not bone. So our fingernails are also made out of that stuff. You don't ever see a skeleton plus fingernails. A rhinoceros, its horn is actually made of incredibly compacted hair-like stuff. That would be us like, but it's harder than hair. It's closer to our fingernails. It's kind of a mix of like fingernail hair. Oh, that'd be gross if we had hair. Anyways, it's not that. On a rhinoceros, it's like that. Thank goodness we don't have that. But that means if we look at the skeleton of a dinosaur, it doesn't actually tell us a whole lot. When they first started finding when they first started finding dinosaur skeletons way back in ancient times, that's where our stories of dragons come from, because they looked at that and went, well, clearly this is a beast of large proportions and might have had wings, and because they saw those little T-Rex arms, they thought they might be wings, right? They thought they were dragons or some other thing. It's actually where we get a lot of those stories, is people who didn't have science yet saw those bones and went, griffin. I don't know, griffinish? They didn't know, they didn't have our science. So later on, science comes along in the 1800s and they find the skeletons and they figure out they're not, dragons. And they come up with the name dinosaur, but they still don't really know what they look like. They just put sort of a skin suit on the skeleton. That's why they all sort of look like tall crocodiles or something. The truth is, we don't know that they were. Here's the thing, they might have had fur. We actually know already, because we found some fossilized finally, that some of them had feathers. Now, we don't know which ones had feathers, and we don't know which ones might have had fur. And what if they had big humps, like a camel, or like our ears or noses? So today, what you want to do is, do you remember that first picture I showed you? I just looked on the web, and I said, hey, can I get a dinosaur skeleton? And it made one of those for me. If you can do that, print it out on a printer. Now, not enough of us have good. My printer, don't even get me started on my printer and how it's not working. And I don't know why. And it makes me really angry. But the point in it wasn't. And I don't have great art skills, but maybe somebody in your family does. But I just drew kind of a little fakey fake skeleton. I mean, you can pretty much see it's the skeleton of kind of a T-Rexy kind of a thing. Doesn't matter if it's accurate, okay? We're not going for, you're not becoming the scientist who makes the T-Rex drawing. It's not that. It's still about imagination, right? But here's what we know. This is basically like a skeleton that we can find in fossils. And we know that some of them had feathers, and some of them might have had fur, some of them might have had weird fat deposits. So get somebody, or you yourself if you're really good, draw something with pen or pencil that looks like a skeleton of some kind of dinosaur. It doesn't have to be T-Rexy. Could be Brontosaurus-y or Triceratops or whatever you like. Triceratops are kind of my faves, by the way, just in case you ever wonder, oh, what is Mrs. Yeah, it's kind of Triceratops. And then you can take crayons, or I have some colored pencils, and you can start drawing things. So we're going to say, oh, he has little ears right here. And I'm going to make some blue ears for him. Doesn't matter what color it is. We're just pretending. Oh, it doesn't want to stick to my flat surface. I thought I was going to be smart and have a flat... Yeah, not everything works out great, does it? But here's the thing. In Australia, there's kangaroos and they have pouches. So I could actually draw him with a big fat belly. And I could pretend he has a pouch to carry baby dinosaurs in. Now, I don't think any dinosaurs had pouches, but we don't know. So we can draw that. So I'm going to give him a big belly with a pouch. And it's going to be blue. There we go. Now, we also talked about how we have pointy bits stick out from us that are cartilage. So I'm going to decide, even though he has claws, I gave him big claws, like really. But a lot of claws, by the way, are just like fingernails, so they don't save. Some dinosaurs, though, actually have claws that are closer to bone, and they do actually save in fossils. But I can give him a hind end over here. But let's draw his tail. And I'm going to say he has spikes on his tail. But they're, oh, I should draw in a better color than that, because that doesn't show up. So I can draw spikes on his tail. And I can say those are made out of cartilage, just like ears are. I'm going to fill in his tail. Fill in his leg. Here's his leggy muscles. And we're going to leave those claws sticking out. I'm gonna do his little tiny T-Rexy arms the same way. But here's the thing. We just said he could have spikes, right? Like that would be like made out of this stuff. We can put them in there. It would be almost more like thorns on a tree, but it would mean that if anything tried to grab his arm, it would get poked. Because I get to make it up. Because this is my art dinosaur. This is my Design-a-saur. I am designing my own dinosaur. I'm going to give him a big neck right here. Well, a little bit on the front. And I can decide, ooh, what if the cartilage, you've seen those dinosaurs that have those big things sticking off their back? We're going to say his cartilage makes spikes that come up, but they don't stick out like spikes. No, he has one of those that look almost like a fish back. I can color it all blue. What if I didn't want a fish back? He could have a camel back that had fat, that stored water, that made him travel far. Whatever I want to do, I can design it because this is my Design-a-saur. And later I can go and take completely different skeleton, like of a brontosaurus or a T-Rex, and I can decide they have pouches or maybe they have feathers. What if it had one tail with spikes, but then right above it was, oh, let's just add this in. This is too good an idea not to do. He's going to have a peacocky kind of tail that sticks out like this. Now, they're not spiky. They're just going to be like feathers, but they're going to be right there. And then he's going to have it on the behind of his head, too. And he looks fabulous. I told you, even if you didn't like dinosaurs, this could still be fun because fabulous is fun, right? And we can draw other colors. Now, I'm only on here for a few seconds, so I only have a few minutes to draw. How long do you have to draw? Probably as long as you want. You could even save it and come back tomorrow. You could get more dinosaur skeletons and make other Design-a-saurs with them. That almost looks like fire because I put those colors on there. But you can decide it. And we talked about how rhinoceros have horns made out of their hair and fingernail-y kind of stuff. So we can give him like a whole bunch of horns on the front. So even though he started out as a skeleton, I think you're starting to see he's looking pretty crazy now. But fun crazy. I can even go ahead and put that baby dinosaur in that pouch. Remember I said he had a little pouch like kangaroo? Oh, look, I'm a baby dinosaur. It's my imagination. What does your imagination say? I bet your imagination is probably even better than mine. So either print out a dinosaur skeleton or have somebody who's a little older kind of draw you one like I started with. Remember, we could pause that video right at the beginning, look at what my skeleton looked like. You can look up other skeletons online of elephants and other birds or anything and kind of make a little bit of kind of a drawing of one. Doesn't have to be exact because we're covering over it with our imagination Design-a-saur. So design your own Design-a-saurus and let me know what it looks like. We have a Facebook group, Co-Video Substitute Teacher. You can post them in there and I would love to see them. Thanks. Bye.